coming to Juneteenth for probably the last 40 years.
Oh, it's been 20 plus years.
Been coming here since I was about 5 years old, 1980.
You know, I grew up here, and from the time I was a little boy, we would come here. Juneteenth would start on Friday, go through Sunday, and there would be hundreds of thousands of people down here. And we would come down here for the food, the fun, to see our friends. And so it became a very festive, important day or time in the life of our community.
So I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm from New York and Massachusetts. And I'd never heard of Juneteenth. It's not celebrated there. It's not something that I ever heard of. And so when I actually moved here about 10 years ago, people would tell me about it. I did some research, and I was like, it's amazing.
It's important to give the young people a historic perspective on what happened in slavery, but also how slaves learned about the fact that they were free. And what happened that day down in Galveston, and can you imagine the excitement and the jubilation they felt the moment they learned that they were free. So the reality is that we hope to connect our young people to their history here, but also the entire community to celebrate different culture, and this is certainly one that's important to all of us.
Juneteenth to me is kind of like a celebration of African American culture. It's where I just feel like a lot of African Americans are coming together and celebrating who they are as a people, and then also this is a time for the east side of Denver to actually come together as one. Instead of fighting as gangs, we're coming together and embracing our culture together.
I think Juneteenth is important to celebrate because it helps us remember our culture.
This celebration is like, reminding people of how far we've come, but how far we also need to go, because we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not equal.
Why Juneteenth is important for everybody to celebrate is because the truth is if some of us are struggling, then the rest of us really need to take a deeper look at that, and we're not all free until all of us are free.
It's important because if you don't know where you're from, then you're not certain as to where you're going. And so for these young boys and girls out here today, it's important that they understand the history and how we got to where we are, and why it's important to appreciate these freedoms we have, because this wasn't always the case.
It was a destination for black jazz, black entertainers, and this was the only place that they could stay when they were in town back during the days of segregation.
And they could have concerts, and they had to stay downtown. So there's no other place more fitting than the historic 5 Points.
It's important to have it here in 5 Points because this is the heartbeat of the black community. And although we see with gentrification and sort of demographics changes, the population may begin to look a little different, but it remains the heartbeat of what black Denver is all about.
The African American community in Denver is much mobile. So we are living in Aurora, we're living in far northeast, where at one point we were mostly concentrated in this area in Park Hill, but things have changed, and so we're everywhere. So for everyone to come here, and it's a chance to connect, and again, I grew up in this neighborhood, so it's kind of a coming home to me. I love coming in the area, I come here often to eat, but it's always good to come and connect with the folks you grew up with. I saw a lot of folks I went to school with, and just to reconnect with them is very important. So,
It's like an unofficial thing.
yeah, absolutely. So I not only take pride as a mayor, but I take pride as someone who is a native of the area.
I'm glad that I live in Denver, Colorado, where we celebrate Juneteenth proudly.
It's just a great time and it's just not the African American community, all communities to come together and sharing what was a great moment in history.
Juneteenth means everything to my family because my ancestors were enslaved in Gainesville, Texas, and the patriarch of our family actually bought his freedom, Basil Black, and he attempted to buy the freedom of his wife, but their children were not free until Juneteenth, and my family was in service for a full year longer than they should have been after the passing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So Juneteenth means everything to my family.
Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.